Okay, let's start with a word that usually makes people want to run for the hills.
Audit?
Audit, yeah. Normally, when you hear that, you're thinking taxes, receipts, maybe a little bit of that low-level panic that you forgot to carry the one.
Definitely.
But today, we are looking at an audit of something way bigger than finances. We're talking about auditing reality itself.
It's a massive shift in perspective. We're not looking at a spreadsheet here. We're looking at the foundational structures of identity, law, even the physics of how we perceive the world.
And honestly, the source material we're working with today is unlike anything we've covered before.
Not even close.
We are diving into a stack of what are essentially mixtapes and video essays from a creator known as Carnage Wright.
Or sometimes just David, yeah.
I spent the weekend with these transcripts, videos like 1nOnly, the 33rd Degree Graduate Mixtape, and Cure AT Mixtape, and it's a trip.
Trip is the right word. To call these just videos is selling them short. This is a dense fusion of spoken word poetry, hip-hop lyrics, legal theory.
Hermetic occultism, autobiography. It's like a puzzle box.
It really is.
1 minute he's breaking down the etymology of the word money, like he's rapping about childhood trauma, and then suddenly he's lecturing on the structural engineering of the Washington Monument.
It's a lot to unpack.
But the mission for this deep dive is clear. We want to decode Carnage Wright's methodology. He's essentially mapping out a way to move from what he calls a legal fiction to a sovereign soul.
Right. And to do that, he completely reinterprets everything. His own mental health, the legal system, the very language we speak. He argues that we are living in a matrix monopoly, and he's handing us the red pill.
So let's jump right into the bedrock of his philosophy, the legal fiction versus the sovereign soul. This is the foundation for his entire worldview.
It is.
He says there are two of you. There's the living, breathing you, the flesh and blood, and then there's the paper you.
This is a concept that, it crops up in certain areas of legal theory and sovereign citizen movements, but Carnage takes it into a very spiritual direction. The argument is that the legal fiction is an artificial corporate shell created at birth.
It's the birth certificate, right?
Exactly. When you're born, a record is created. In his view, that record isn't just a stat sheet. It creates a separate legal entity.
And that's why when you look at a bank statement or a credit card or a court summons, your name is often written in all capital letters.
That's the one.
I actually checked my license this morning, all caps.
Right. And Carnage argues that's not you. That's an entity created by the state to do business with.
He has this line that really stuck with me. This capitalized name is not an identity, though it is an account.
It's basically an avatar.
It is. Like, if you're playing a video game, the system interacts with your character, not with the person holding the controller. But the trick is, we've forgotten we're holding the controller.
We think we are the character on the screen.
That is a perfect analogy.
And this leads to what he calls the Great Swap. This is crucial because it explains why the system creates this avatar. He argues that the modern banking system it's a confidence trick.
Right, because a government filing cabinet doesn't work. A bank ledger doesn't sweat.
Exactly. The only thing that has value is the human being, your labor, your potential, your sovereign signature. But the system flips it. It converts your inherent worth into a commercial liability.
So you are the source of the value, but the system tricks you into borrowing against your own future.
It's like you're the battery powering the machine, but the machine is charging you for the electricity you generated.
That's it. He calls it a matrix monopoly, built on unpaid ancestral debt.
It sounds almost like a curse rather than an economy, external robbery of worth.
But here's where it gets empowering. The audit. This is the tool he gives the listener to fight back.
And he illustrates it with this story about his grandfather, Grandpa Ernie.
Now, Grandpa Ernie, or Mr. Wright, he's a huge figure in these tapes. Apparently, when Carnage was a kid and got in trouble, Grandpa Ernie wouldn't just yell. He'd ask two questions.
Do you know why you are being punished? And what were you thinking before you did this?
Which, let's be honest, are terrifying questions when you're 6 years old.
Oh, absolutely. You're standing there, guilty, trying to come up with an answer. It forces you to self-incriminate.
But Carnage takes those questions and turns them into a weapon. He points them right back at the system.
He puts the Smith EG-NY destiny swap, his term for the financial control system, on the witness stand. He asks the system, do you know why you're being punished?
And what were you thinking before you did this?
And his conclusion is fascinating. He argues that the system can't answer. It doesn't have a valid reason beyond profit or, keeping the secret.
And that's the checkmate.
That's it. His legal argument here is that if the system cannot explain its motivation beyond external robbery of worth, it loses jurisdiction over the sovereign.
It's a declaration of independence. He's saying, you can't govern me because you don't even know why you're doing what you're doing.
It's not a violent revolution, it's a jurisdictional dismissal.
But obviously, if you start thinking like this, if you start seeing the avatar versus the player, the system tends to push back.
Oh, yeah.
And that brings us to theme 2, mental health, or as he calls it, divergent cognition.
This is where the personal biography really blends with the systemic critique. He talks about being diagnosed with ADHD as a child. The school saw a disordered mind, someone who couldn't focus on a flat page of text.
But he flips the script entirely.
Oh.
I love the imagery he used here. He says the school saw a problem, but the heavens saw a tetrahedron.
Yes. He describes his perception as seeing sacred geometry. Where others saw text, he saw 3D structures. He mentions the tetrahedron representing fire, the original spark.
And the octahedron, which is the bridge between the physical and spiritual.
Right. So he's not distracted. He's processing at a bandwidth the school wasn't designed for. He says the cosmos saw a mind too big for the room.
But the school system just saw a nail sticking up that needed to be hammered down.
And the hammer is where he alleges a very dark conspiracy. He talks about the IEP, the Individual Education Plan, as a management protocol.
And he focuses specifically on the medication he was given.
This part is intense.
The 33 pill. Specifically, the drug Wellbutrin or amphibutamine.
Right. And we have to be clear here. We are just reporting his perspective from the source material. He links this drug to the number 33 and calls it a refined Nazi management protocol.
Wow.
His claim is that the drug wasn't there to help him learn. It was designed to, and I'm quoting his forceful language here, force F the ears.
That is visceral.
He means it was designed to desensitize his sensory input. He believes his disorder was actually a heightened ability to perceive truth and patterns, what he calls ocular pyramid sensitivity.
So the drug's purpose, in his view, was to muddy that clarity.
Exactly, so that his realizations, his audit of reality, would later be dismissed as the delusions of an addict.
That is a heavy accusation.
Right.
It's the idea that the system actively drugs the people who can see through the illusion.
It frames his struggle with addiction later in life, not as a moral failing, but as a battleground for his consciousness. He says, the system's trick is to tell you that this raw pain is a personal failure.
Which leads us perfectly into how he deals with that pain. He doesn't just manage it.
He transmutes it.
Theme 3, alchemy. He is obsessed with this idea of turning lead into gold. But the lead isn't metal, it's trauma.
He breaks it down into the classic alchemical stages. First, you have the nigredo, or the blackening.
The Carnot stage.
He calls it the carnage stage. This is the raw material, the broken families, the addiction, the lead.
I highlighted this line 3 times in my notes. Do not pasteurize your pain.
It's brilliant. He's saying don't sanitize it, don't hide it, don't make it palatable for polite society. You need that raw misery because it's the prima materia. It's the fuel.
Then you move to albedo.
The white stone, which he associates with purification and researching back, learning the new language to describe your reality. And finally, rubedo, the red stage, the union of opposites.
The one and all. It's this journey from being a victim of the fire to becoming the fire itself.
Speaking of fire, we have to talk about the burning house dream. The lyrics there are just haunting.
That image is so vivid. He describes being trapped in a burning house with a lover.
And the realization is heartbreaking. He says, I touched a hot stove once, but I went back more than twice. He realizes he stayed in the burning house because the fire was the only warmth he knew.
Oof, that hits hard. It's that toxicity of past relationships or addiction where the pain feels like home.
Right. When you grow up in chaos, peace feels boring, chaos feels safe.
And the alchemy is realizing you have to let the house burn down to escape.
You have to stop identifying with the loss. And he credits his grandfather, Grandpa Ernie, for teaching him that, the law of cause and effect.
He views himself as a wordsmith or blacksmith.
Yeah.
Just as a smith forges metal in fire, he forges his soul in the fire of his experiences.
And you mentioned he's a wordsmith. That is literal for him. Which brings us to theme 4, linguistic warfare.
He believes language is a weapon. He looks at words and sees spells.
He performs what he calls forensic linguistics. He looks at the suffix ion.
Addiction, ambition, contradiction, tradition.
He calls these spells cast in silence.
Because they trap you.
Exactly. They describe a state of being that you are stuck in rather than an action you are taking. They limit thought and bind people to cycles.
But his biggest linguistic reframe, and this one took me a minute to wrap my head around, is the word money.
Or as he spells it, M-A-N-E.
Right.
He says money with an O represents debt and scarcity. It's like one eye, a limited perspective.
Me redefines it as main, from mono, meaning one or source.
Main is the source code of abundance. It shifts the definition from I owe to I am the domain.
So changing the vowel changes the vibration and the reality. He also talks about decolonizing the mind and researching back. It's about rejecting the definitions the system gave you.
And he proposes a practical application for this too. He talks about replacing the dollar with time credits.
Or service hours.
Yeah. The idea is that 1 hour of your specialized contribution, whether you're a carpenter or a healer, equals 1 hour of communal support. It's an economy based on time sovereignty rather than debt.
It makes sense. If the human is the only value, then time is the only currency.
Exactly.
Now, we've touched on the spiritual, but we need to get into the deep esoteric stuff. We have to talk about Hermeticism and the blue mirror.
Carnage is deeply influenced by the 7 Hermetic principles. Mentalism, vibration, polarity, you know the list.
He integrates them into his life story.
He does. For instance, he describes the principle of vibration not as a theory, but as a biological event. He talks about a kundalini tremor, where his spine literally vibrated.
He says, I felt my spine like vibrating through the chair as if I was one with the earth. He's not speaking metaphorically there.
No, he's adamant that it's a physiological reality, and this connects to the blue mirror concept. This is the moment of ultimate self-recognition.
Okay, set the scene for us.
He describes looking in a mirror, usually in a quiet, vulnerable place like a bathroom, and instead of seeing the mask or the managerial carcass,
That legal fiction we talked about.
he sees the blue being.
The Krishna or Christ frequency.
Yes, he calls it the high bandwidth resonance of the soul. Blue represents the infinite, like the deep ocean or the sky places where the administrative franchise has no jurisdiction.
It's the realization that he is an heir to the infinite, distinct from the system that tries to manage him.
A powerful image of breaking free.
But then, almost in the same breath, he starts analyzing the Washington Monument. I have to ask, why is he so fascinated by that obelisk?
It's all about engineering and symbolism for him. He notes the specific measurements, the 897 steps, the aluminum apex. To him, the monument represents a marvel of art and engineering, a freestanding masonry structure.
And he contrasts this true engineering with the fake system.
Which brings up the fake barn concept.
Right. Now, when I read this part of the transcript, I had to stop and reread it. It's a philosophical thought experiment, isn't it?
It is. It's a famous problem in epistemology. Imagine you're driving through a county, let's call it Fake Barn County. The locals have built 99 fake papier-mâché barns that look exactly like real barns from the road.
Okay.
And there is one real barn. You happen to look out the window at the exact moment you pass the one real barn and you say, that's a barn.
Well, I'm right. It is a barn.
You are right. You have a justified true belief, but you don't actually know it's a barn. You just got lucky.
Oh, if I had looked 5 seconds earlier, I would have pointed at a fake barn and said, that's a barn. And I would have been wrong.
So the question is it knowledge if it's just luck? And Carnage applies this to our lives. He's asking, do we really know our reality, or are we just driving through fake Barn County? Are the laws, the bets, the identities we hold on to, are they real structures?
Or are they just papier-mâché facades that look real because everyone says they are?
Yeah.
That is unsettling.
It is, but that's the point, right? To unsettle the legal fiction so the sovereign can wake up, he wants you to get out of the car, walk up to the barn, and knock on the wall. See if it's solid.
So let's unpack what this all means for you, for the listener. We've gone from birth certificates to burning houses to blue avatars. What is the ultimate takeaway from Carnage Wright's mixtapes?
It's a call to move from recurrence to sovereignty. Recurrence is the cycle, repeating the trauma, paying the debt, accepting the label of addict or disorder.
And sovereignty is breaking that cycle by auditing the system.
It's asking, why am I being punished, and realizing the system has no answer. It's about taking the lead, the pain, and using it as fuel to forge a new identity.
He rejects external validation entirely. He says external validation is irrelevant outside of that individual who's seeking it. He's building his own house, his own economy, his own reality.
And he invites you to do the same. To see your disorders as divergent cognition. To see your language as spells that you can rewrite.
To reclaim your time as the only true currency. It's a radical philosophy. It asks you to stop being an extra in someone else's movie and start directing your own.
Or, to use his metaphor, to stop being the legal fiction written on paper and start being the living man who holds the pen.
Precisely. So here is a final provocative thought for you to mull over today. Take a second and think about your own name. When you hear it or see it written down on a bill, who are you identifying with?
Are you the corporate shell that owes the debt and follows the rules?
Or are you the living man or woman who exists before and after that paper was printed?
And if you audited your own life right now, sat the system down in the chair and asked, what were you thinking when you did this to me? Would you accept its answer? Or would you realize it has no jurisdiction over you at all?
Something to think about next time you look in the mirror.
Hey!
Maybe look for that blue frequency. Thanks for diving deep with us.
Take care.